Today we're going to be talking about hate crimes and the victimization behind it. We're also going to be talking about some brief topics, including the history of hate crimes, giving a little bit of a background, psychological effects, of course, talking about victimizations and the effects that it has on people, and also some laws. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to just briefly state that it is never okay to hate somebody for their skin color or just because you can judge them based off of a headpiece that they're wearing or a flag that they might represent. But we always have to keep an open mind with these type of things and have discussions with people. And instead of acting it out of violence, I believe that people should have discussions more and sit down with each other and talk about things. So America has always struggled with the whole idea of hate speech or hate crimes. So there's always kind of that very thin line between the First Amendment right and just an absolute blatant crime. And I feel as though, so for example, there's a lot of things that America has struggled with when it comes to rights for people of color or Black people, etc. And there's a distinct line between having to say, oh, I am protected under my First Amendment right, and this is my opinion, this is my country, and I can say whatever I want, between just a blatant and absolute crime coming from a place of hate. I feel that a lot of these issues come from America itself and not other people. We always see in the media that certain groups of people are portrayed in different types of ways, and in some cases that there's places in the United States here that don't get enough education or they don't get enough of a background where what they see on the media or what they see on the TV is all they know. So, and obviously the media is always just bad news. So if we look at, for example, Muslims and how they're portrayed in the media, not just in the news, but also in movies and etc., there's certain types of people now that we say that they are Islamophobic because of those reasons. They're just not educated enough. And a lot of that hate comes from a place of fear. So I feel as though America definitely needs to step up their game when it comes to representing different types of backgrounds. Just a brief history background. Back in June 7th of 1997, such hate crimes committed solely because the victims have a different skin color, a different faith, or gays or lesbians, leave deep scars not only in the victims but on our large community. These acts are acts of violence against the United States, America itself. And that was a quote from Bill Clinton in his weekly radio address. I want to also briefly mention the definition of hate crime. This is straight out of the FBI. So what is a hate crime? A hate crime is a prejudice-motivated crime which occurs when a perpetrator targets a victim because of their membership in a certain social group or race. So a lot of people may say the reason why is this wrong. I would say just because hating somebody because of their skin color or their religious origin is something that they can't change. You can't change a skin color. You can't change a religious belief that you've grown up with your entire life. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the victimization and the psychological effects of hate crimes against, obviously, victims. So people victimized by violent hate crimes are more likely to experience more psychological distress than victims of other violent crimes. Specifically, victims of crimes that are bias motivated more likely to experience post-traumatic stress, safely concerns, depression, anxiety, and anger than victims of crimes that are not motivated by bias. So you know that somebody's going to be targeting you just solely based off of your skin color or your religious beliefs or faiths, and that tends to scar people even more because that's not something you can control. So it's always going to be an issue where it's going to give you a more sense of fear and anger and, like we said, anxiety and stress, etc. So the reason, I'm gonna go back to what I said before, the motivation behind all of these hate crimes, like I stated before, is it's coming from a place of fear. So offenders may not be motivated by hate, but rather by fear, ignorance, or anger. These can lead to dehumanization of unfamiliar groups and to targeted aggression. So this is a report from the FBI, and it states reported hate crimes in 2017 were motivated by hostility based off of race and ethnicity. 58.1%, excuse me, was religion. 22% was sexual orientation. 15.9% was gender identity, and 0.6% was a disability, and 1.6%. 1.6% was disability. Hate crimes targeted towards Jewish people, African American, LGBT plus communities, and are at a higher rate currently, unfortunately. And again, I feel as though the American education system has failed the younger generation to bring more awareness to the fact and to talk more about these type of things rather than just shy away from them. There's nothing wrong with talking about the past, and I feel as though America does struggle with that, talking about the past and how this land was built, rather than just face the reality and accept it so history doesn't repeat itself. One of the laws I would like to state that includes, obviously, against hate crimes is a criminal interference with right to fair housing is 42 U.S.C. So this states makes it a crime to use a threat to use force or interfere with housing rights because of the victim's race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin. I think that is very important. I chose this law because I just thought it was important to talk about. We've been having a lot of like housing issues here in the United States, and people have been deported or kicked out of their homes solely based off of that. And you can have racist landlords on some occasions. So yeah, that was my works cited. But I would also just like to say that instead of shying away from, because I feel like that this major issue does stem from a educational background, rather than portraying certain types of groups in the media in just a complete negative way. I feel as though we should be educating the youth and the younger people about the history that America had with people of color. And it wasn't just black and white. It wasn't just Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and Martin Luther King solved racism, and that was it. I feel as though that subject is deeper, and of course it's going to take some time, but I think that is definitely doable. And I feel as though bringing more education, more and less ignorance, into this world will definitely solve this violence and bring more peace to the world. So thank you.